You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. I don't know why I had to say it like that, but I did. So here's the thing. The Hugh Freeze story won't go away now. There was a point where I was like, man, so much information, so little time. And now that we've been talking about Hugh Freeze for essentially what amounts to a week, almost a week, story broke last Thursday. Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving, right? Hugh Freeze finally broke his silence today. And I'm going to have to reevaluate the happiest people in the SEC, by the way, which I'll get to in just a second, because the list initially of the happiest people in the SEC did include Hugh Freeze. While he was initially under investigation, it didn't look like his job was in any particular kind of jeopardy to Ole Miss. And it looked like whatever violations they were going to go through, the NCAA was going to come down on them however they felt like, maybe take away some scholarships, maybe ban them an extra year from the postseason. But whatever it was, Hugh Freeze was going to come up, like maybe vacate some victories like they always do, which I just think is a silly way of punishing a person. But whatever it was, Hugh Freeze was going to come out on the other side alive. That was ultimately what was going to happen before the whole escort scandal ended up breaking out. So now, Hugh Freeze has spoken. He said his first words to the public since resigning his post almost a week ago, last Thursday. And given Hugh Freeze's public persona, what do you think he said? Take a guess. Did you guess that it had something to do with God? Because it had something to do with God. Said God is good even in difficult times, right? He said, I have a wonderful wife and family, and that's my priority. And I don't know what else I expected him to say, because it's not like he's wrong necessarily. You know, God is good in difficult times. I'm not going to take that away from him. And the fact that your family unit is at this particular juncture still intact does speak very well of your family and how forgiving everybody is. I mean, I can see that too. Here's my thing, though, is that maybe a little bit more than that, right? Now, I didn't have the full statement in front of me. This is just what was quoted in the USA Today Sports article, because he talked to USA Today Sports. But it just seems to me that it is a bit of a cop-out to say, well, God's good in difficult times. Yeah, but difficult times that you created. Difficult times generated by you. Right? And Hugh Freeze's pastor is also cited in the article saying, I hurt for him, but he will always be my friend. True friends are the people who walk into the room when so-called friends walk out. All of us stumble. That's why we need Jesus to pick us up and friends to love us when we do stumble and fall. And I think that the stumbling and the falling here is where I have a problem, because to stumble is like one mistake. But this isn't one mistake, right? Like, there was a pattern of phone calls to escorts per the university. The university said this, right? Like, there's a pattern of that behavior that they simply could not stand by, and that was damaging to their reputation and their look, obviously damaging to Hugh Freeze. And there's a certain level of not taking responsibility when you say, yeah, we all stumble. Yeah, we all stumble, but like this, that's stumbling multiple times. Okay. And if you're going to be stumbling that many times, then you just need to call it what it is. You've fallen. You're fallen. That's what it is. Call a spade. Right. And I didn't expect him to, but I would have been very impressed had he done it. Right. And I expect his pastor to say that, because I think that that's just the pastor being a good pastor. Right. Like, if you can't trust your pastor to have your back, who on earth can you trust? right? Like any fall from grace should not be too much for your pastor. Your pastor's supposed to have your back. That's his job. You're supposed to be able to talk with him. You know, if he is your friend, if you have a public sin, which is what this is, the pastor's supposed to have your back. Right? Like, I don't expect the pastor to say anything else, even though I do think that, you know, the we all stumble thing. It's like, yeah, we all have mistakes, but there is a certain level of, if you continue to make the same kind of mistake, that is your character. And the whole purpose of working to change your character, but then you don't get to say, I just stumbled. Like, no, this is a part of who I was, and I'm going to work to change it. Right? If you tell a lie because, you know, maybe you went into work, you were running a little bit late, you didn't want your boss to feel bad, and so you just said, I got caught in traffic, and you didn't get caught in traffic. You were, you just overslept, right? You did something else. That's a stumble, right? Even stumbles of sexual immorality, right? Like, where if you stepped out on your wife once and you were like, oh no, this is a terrible mistake, I'm never doing that again, you stumbled. If you continue to do it, that's who you are. That's your character. You are what you continually do. When you want to change yourself, you first look to change your habits. If you're somebody who procrastinates a lot, you've got to find a way to make it easier for you to start your work than it is to procrastinate. Because everybody procrastinates every once in a while. The issue is, if you keep on procrastinating, you're a procrastinator. If you keep on lying, you are a liar. And if you keep calling prostitutes, then you're a cheater, I guess, among other things. Right? Like, that's part of what it is. And if you keep telling people publicly about your godly life while you continue to call prostitutes, then you're a liar. I mean, I don't think that we need to sugarcoat that. And I didn't expect Hugh Freeze, in his first public words since resigning, to cop to it, right? Like, I didn't expect him to come out and admit, well, that was part of me. I didn't expect it, but I would have been surprised, and I would have been impressed had he done it, right? Like, I don't think I have any right to dictate what I want Hugh Freeze to say. I'm just saying what would have impressed me had I seen that. He didn't say it, but I get, he said what I expected him to say. Like, you're trying to patch up, you're trying to move on from this as fast as humanly possible. Because say whatever it is you want, but whenever someone has sexual immorality, especially with prostitutes, can we just point out the fact that anytime someone has anything with prostitutes, you're just like, oh, dude, buddy. Ooh. Like, that seems to be more embarrassing. If you stole from your own family and that was the scandal, that feels like it's somehow less embarrassing than this. I don't know why. Prostitute stuff is just always somehow more embarrassing. Like many great politicians, if there's a prostitute involved, right? Infidelity is one thing. Prostitution is like a whole other level that somehow is more embarrassing. It's several degrees more embarrassing. So I expect Hugh Freeze to say anything humanly possible to make this thing go away as fast as he can. I expect it. But I would have been impressed. Had he just said this, that became a part of who I was, and I wanted to not be a part of who I am anymore. I don't know. I would have been impressed by that. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. But speaking of Hugh Freeze, Mr. Steve Robertson, the Mississippi State fan sports writer who initially reported the phone numbers to Houston Nutt, previous head coach's lawyers, he says that there's more information out there. I'm going to try and find the quote for what he said. Yeah, here it is. He suggested that there is even more uncomfortable revelations. And I'm not going to lie, I am confused by that one. right? He said there are more uncomfortable revelations. Now, to me, what's more uncomfortable than that? That's the part that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Because like I said, prostitution is the most embarrassing of crimes. Like if they found out that you cheated on the SAT, like Derrick Rose, like if you stepped out on your wife, like Bill Clinton, even all the shady things that Hillary Clinton has done, none of that stuff ever seems to reach levels of embarrassment quite like the words your name and prostitute in a sentence. Whoever's name and prostitute in a sentence, that's the most embarrassing thing that it seems like you can do. How do you find a more uncomfortable revelation than that? Right? How do you do that? Right? So for me, my first thought was, well, maybe he was using the prostitutes to help him recruit, like Louisville and Rick Pitino. We already have a precedent where that's a thing. But Robertson, the writer here, he says that there's, quote, no evidence to support that theory in any way. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'm also finding a little bit that it appears that Mr. Robertson, the five seconds of fame for him here, this man is finding a way to stretch it out, to maximize it, which is smart. It is smart. Clutch with Keon Rose at 1240 and 92.7 FM, which brings me to my list of the happiest men in the SEC. A list that once included one Hugh Freeze, right? And my reasoning for including Hugh Freeze on that list is pretty obvious, right? If Kevin Sumlin is the man with the hottest seat, Hugh Freeze is the man with a seat that wasn't hot at all, right? Like Hugh Freeze was not going to be fired under any circumstances because he already had a built-in excuse of all the sanctions that were coming down on him. The school had doubled down on keeping him on the staff. They weren't going to let him go. Hugh Freeze, outside of Nick Saban, had the safest job in the SEC, right? Now, if Hugh Freeze went out there and didn't win any games, I don't know that his job was all that safe, but they were going to win some games. They're very talented. They're too talented not to win. Schedule's tough, but they were going to win some games. The question with Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss was just a matter of how many. But his job was safe. Obviously, he cannot be included in the happiest men in the SEC any longer because, I mean, he's not able to do that anymore. So now our question is, as we reconfigure this, who now becomes the happiest person in the SEC? While the happiest person in the SEC should be Nick Saban and Alabama, the happiest person in the SEC by definition can't be Nick Saban because have you seen Nick Saban? Nick Saban wouldn't know what happiness was if it bit him in the leg. Like Nick Saban's not a man here to be happy. He's a man here to win. And maybe Nick Saban is happy in the 3 seconds after a victory, right before his brain starts to click into what do we need to do next season. But Nick Saban is not generally happy. So it can never be Saban. Okay? Get that out of the way. I still feel like Jim McElwain ought to be the happiest man in the East. Everyone is underrating his team. They sleep on him constantly. The media never picks them to win the East. They've been constantly winning the East since he's been there. And there is no reason to believe that they can't win it again. He's never had a good quarterback. And now with Malik Zaire and behind Malik Zaire, Felipe Franks, one of those two guys coming out with the job, he's got a quarterback. Excuses starting to go away. Also, he's got I think Matt Corral, the 5-star recruit, might enroll early to Florida, like not Hugh Freeze, but Jim McElwain might be solving his quarterback problems for the foreseeable future, which is a smart move if quarterback is something that you feel like you need to stockpile on because, the whole Will Grier thing. Like if you had a quarterback after Will Grier, possibly winning the East might not have been such a struggle that year because it looked like they were going to win it fairly handily. It might not have been such a struggle that year. And who knows, maybe you even have a puncher's chance against Alabama if you have a guy who can really throw the ball. the happiest man in the West, which again, Hugh Freeze was in contention for previously. Gus Malzahn is very much up there. Okay. Jarrett Stidham gives Gus Malzahn the most talent he's had at quarterback in the last 2 to 3 years, which is good because he had one of those hot seat jobs. And now it looks like he's going to contend for the West, which is all you can ask anybody to do. Like, if he is second to Alabama, that's all you can ask anybody to do. But I would also posit that a happier man is Dan Mullen, right? You're going to get a nice, I think, a nice Egg Bowl victory there. So that helps. You definitely now rule Mississippi. And I mean, with Nick Fitzgerald ready to go, I mean, Miss State looks like they're going to have another 9-10 win season. I don't see a problem with what's happening over there in Mississippi State. I feel like Dan Mullen now with this Hugh Freeze thing, now a contender for a happier man in the SEC, not because he's happy that Hugh Freeze is gone, and not even because Ole Miss necessarily, posed any kind of threat to Mississippi State in any particular kind of way, but the out-and-out rulers of Mississippi, that's you. And that means a lot over there. Like, I can't honestly tell you what that means in general, ruling Mississippi, and whether or not that would make a person happy. I can tell you that it would not mean any difference to me, but it means something over there. And Dan Mullen, who's a good enough coach to probably bounce from Mississippi State and find himself a greater, better job, continues to stay and coach there. If that tells you anything about the man himself, he continues to coach over there. So I can't imagine that Dan Mullen himself is not a very happy person. Also, I think I originally had Felipe Franks on the list of happy people in the SEC. And since it looks like Felipe Franks might just get his job taken, he might just get his job took. He's probably not on the list anymore. That would be my guess. So I've actually had to redo this list. I've had to redact people from this list. Actually, I got the SEC media guide. It came into the station in the mail yesterday, and Hugh Freeze is still in the SEC media guide, obviously, because they had printed all of that stuff up before Hugh Freeze stepped down. Right? There wasn't enough time there to get a little write-up on Matt Luke. Wasn't enough time. So I'm not entirely certain. Like, I feel like Hugh Freeze left Ole Miss in a very uncertain place, because where do they follow up that act? Because say whatever it is that you want about Hugh Freeze, but he was winning football games, right? I think he had a 29-14 record, beat Alabama twice, recruited really well, whether or not you believe that there was some shadiness involved. I mean, there's a reason why Ole Miss was afraid to fire the dude. There's a reason why they doubled down on a guy that had clearly violated NCAA rules. And it's the same reason that Jim Boeheim has a job in college basketball, that Rick Pitino has a job in college basketball. And it's a good reason why, like, Bobby Petrino has a job right now. Because when a guy is capable of winning football games, you'll take the risk on all the character stuff, right? And you'll take the risk even on some of the violation stuff. Like, what are they going to do? Stop us from competing for a title for what? A year or so, 2 years, and then we can get back on it? Then let's do that. Let's do that. Because here's the thing about the NCAA. The penalties very rarely seem to match the crime. The penalties don't seem as severe sometimes as what the crimes are, right? Like, the NCAA comes down and they make a big deal about how scary everything's going to be, but it feels like it's all smoke. They act like they're going to come down and just mash you. And then, if you kick a guy out for a postseason who planned on coaching at a school for a decade, that doesn't do anything to him. Right? Like, he was going to have down years anyway. All you've done is imposed one guaranteed down year. Okay. Taking away a person's victories after the fact. What does that do? We all saw them happen. We all saw him happen. So the NCAA, not scary enough to stop Ole Miss from keeping Hugh Freeze, and Hugh Freeze tripped himself up. And now we have to have a new happiest person in the SEC list. See what he made me do. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Chattanooga cops and the FBI have just released photos of a man they say robbed a bank at North Point Boulevard Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. It was a Bank of America. The photos apparently show the man brandishing a handgun. He's a black male. The police are asking the public for help identifying him. 2 shootings in Chattanooga overnight. The first happening at 9 o'clock on Brainerd Road. A victim was shot. The second, gunshots rang out at 34th Street at 6:30 in the evening. Neither victims were killed, and in both cases, the gunman is still on the loose. Just after 9 o'clock at night, a driver lost control of his car and smashed into a tree on Birchwood Pike. Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies said the driver was dead by the time they got there. An investigation is underway to determine the circumstances of the crash. If you're in Soddy Daisy, your property taxes may go up by just under 10 cents. Soddy Daisy officials considering a property tax increase of just under 10 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies, warm and muggy weather out there through your nighttime. Overnight lows 72 to 74. For Wednesday, more heat, haze, and humidity. Highs 92 to 94. An isolated afternoon shower storm possible Thursday. More likely Friday. Highs dropping into the 80s. This forecast is brought to you by Hamilton Medical Center, featuring their neurosurgery and spine center open in Calhoun, Georgia. Stop putting up with back pain. For an appointment, 706-529-9041. And I'm Swarm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation, and we'll give you a copy. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339.
We have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Hi, I'm David Crockett, and I'm here with David Tulis, and we're having a little discussion over who's the number one Nooga centrist. If you want to keep up with free market ideas, then read Nooganomics.com. David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to AM 1240, 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose is the show. Nooga Radio is the station. Noogaradio.com is our website. And by the way, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but you know we have a radio plugin on our Facebook page. You can go to the Facebook page, click on the radio plugin link. It's somewhere on the side left list of stuff, click on it in there. And yeah, there'll be a radio plugin that you can listen to the station on Facebook. And to my current knowledge, I don't know anybody else that's got one. We're just trying to make it easy for you. Trying to make your life simpler. So, Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a guy that I think he's smarter than people give him credit for. Right? And part of the reason why I think people treat Cam Newton like he's not all that smart is because, A, he's a very physically imposing quarterback. And I think a lot of people attribute his success to his physical abilities. They don't attribute enough of that success to what he's got going on between the ears, which I think he's a pretty high IQ guy. I don't think that he is a guy that reads the game like Brady. But then again, who is a guy that reads the game like Brady? There's like 5 guys in the history of the whole league that read the game like Brady. I mean, what is it? It's Brady, Manning, Marino, Montana, Unitas. I mean, that's like 5 guys. Most guys don't read the game that way, right? They're intelligent, they're smart, they're sharp. They don't read the game that way. Cam doesn't read the game that way. I think he is a good enough passer. I think a lot of his accuracy problems have to do with the fact that he doesn't have very good footwork. He doesn't set his feet well. But when you have a guy who's got a running background, a lot of those guys struggle with those issues. But I have 2 thoughts on Cam Newton that I find interesting, and then I'll move on to something about the Titans and the Colts. But a couple of the thoughts that I had on Cam Newton is, one, Cam Newton, in a display of intelligence that he doesn't get a lot of credit for, advocated that the Panthers draft Christian McCaffrey over Leonard Fournette. If I'm not mistaken, they would not ever get the chance. Did they draft high enough to get Fournette? I don't know. But I do know, I don't recall exactly, but I do know that he wanted McCaffrey over Fournette because he thought, well, there's some diversity in what Christian McCaffrey can give us. We've got Jonathan Stewart. You get Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette gives you a guy that plays like Jonathan Stewart. They already have a guy that can kind of smash between the tackles, be big on short yardage, be very hard to tackle, break off, 15, 20-yard runs on sheer strength. We already have a guy who can do that. Now, I think Leonard Fournette will be better at that than Jonathan Stewart, but still, there's no point in having 2 guys that do the same thing on your football team, more or less, right? The Titans managed to make it work for whatever reason with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray, who do more or less the same thing. But the Panthers didn't want that, and Cam Newton didn't want that, and expressed that desire to the team. And to me, when you talk about drafting a quarterback and you talk about having a guy run your team, run your offense, that's where I want to see my quarterback getting involved as well, because that tells me a lot about what is important to this guy. I think winning is very important to Cam, which, again, is another thing that he doesn't get enough credit for, because Cam Newton's, he's a goofy guy, right? Like, he likes to crack jokes. He likes to have fun. He's also a little bit selfish and self-centered. So he does kind of keep a lot of those things inside the side of him that I think cares about winning, cares about playing the game, cares about being a champion. Like, that side of Cam is left a little bit more inside of Cam because it's overshadowed by all the other stuff, that his attitude that can be bad at times when things aren't going their way. His sort of desire to be in the spotlight and show up other players, like all of those things, I think cover up for the fact that he is a very good player. And I disagree with guys like Colin Cowherd who say that, he's not a good leader. He's not a good CEO of the team because he's a guy that he's all about me. And it's like, no, guys can party and want to have fun and also have a desire to win. It's not an either or scenario, right? That if you heard about the stuff that guys used to do back in the day with today's NFL world of social media, like you wouldn't believe it. We'd kill people. Like Joe Namath. Joe Namath could never exist in today's NFL. Isn't he a Super Bowl champion? Isn't he a guy that cared about winning? Of course, I would say of course. But he couldn't make it in today's NFL because Joe Namath would be in every bar on earth and he would be photographed at every bar on earth. And we treat him like he's the modern day Johnny Manziel. That's how we treat him. Joe Namath couldn't exist. Bart Starr, legendary Packers quarterback, could not exist in today's social media climate, right? Bart Starr showed up to playoff games hungover. There's no way. There's no way, right? The Redskins in the 80s, they used to have a shed in the back behind The practice facilities where the players would all go and drink, and it was a clique. Some guys could get in, some guys could not get in, right? The linemen could get in. John Riggins could get in. If they let you in, you were cool. If they didn't let you in, guess what? You weren't cool. But you could never do that if they discovered a shed behind a team's football practice facilities where players went to go drink on company time. It would never happen. It would never happen in today's league. But all of those guys cared about winning. All of those guys won Super Bowls. Every single one of them. So it can be true that you both like to have fun and that you care about winning. And you can do both. People manage in life to do both. People who are successful in life, some of them don't have fun, to be honest with you. Some of them like to work. Some of them like to grind. Some of them are okay with, you know what, I'm not going to go out and go to a party. I'm not going to go out and grab a drink with the guys. Like I'm not going to go out and do all those things. Some of them are pretty much fine with that, but not all of them. Right? Like some people like to work hard and play hard. You can do both. It's possible. You have to figure out what kind of person you are, though. It does matter. Right? But the fact that Cam Newton cares about winning, I think that's hugely important. I think that gets taken away from him very, very often. Right? Like, I don't think he's the most accurate passer, but like, I don't know what you can do to change all of that. That is a part of his game. His mobility, which leads me to the other point that I'm going to make about Cam Newton, because I think it's huge, which is that Cam Newton is actually going to be less huge next season. Cam Newton is going to come in playing at a lighter weight, which is interesting because he's not the only quarterback to say that he is doing that. The Tennessee Titans are also a little bit dismayed and a little bit upset with Marcus Mariota because Marcus Mariota said that he too is also coming in playing at a lighter weight. Now, this is more serious for Mariota, I think, because Mariota is the smaller player. Like, he's already small and he's already suffered 2 injuries in each of the seasons that he has played. So for the Titans, it's a little bit more desperate, but a lot of Cam's success has come from the fact that he is hard to bring down. Right? He takes a lot more shots than the normal guy. And so the extra muscle mass, the extra strength, I think helps Cam and helps protect his body from a lot of those hits. If Cam is going to come in at a lighter weight, I would like to think that he's going to run less. Because I don't think that you can lose weight and run more. Yes, you'll be faster, but you won't be. I don't think you will be so much faster that it's worth it. And when you take the hits that you were previously taking, and they're going to come, because I don't think the Panthers have the greatest offensive line. It's not bad, but I don't think it's the greatest offensive line. The hits are going to come. The thing that you had that was shielding you from a lot of that damage is now not going to be there. And so I don't know about that. And then we had the thing last year too, where Cam was just like the most pounded quarterback in the league. He would take shots to the head. There'd be no flag. He'd get beaten up more than other guys, and there would be no flag. So I don't know if this coming in at a lighter weight is also some kind of attempt to be smaller, so that when he gets hit, it actually looks like it hurts, and he might actually get some of those superstar calls, because he's the only guy that I've seen that hasn't been getting them. Right? Like, people want to make it a race thing, but like, he's the only one. It's not even a black or white issue. Because I remember Robert Griffin was getting some of those calls, and I remember Kaepernick was getting some of those calls. Like, it's really just Cam that wasn't getting those calls. Granted, we haven't seen a dude like Cam. Cam is almost 6'5". Cam is like LeBron. He's shaped like LeBron. Yeah, when that guy gets hit, we don't treat it like all the other things. We don't. So Cam's trying to come in at a lighter weight. We'll see. And he's also he's ramping up his throwing. And if there's an opportunity for him to work on that footwork and try and improve that accuracy, I suppose now is the time, as he comes back from reconstructive shoulder surgery. But which I don't like, by the way. I don't like the guys that are doing the shoulder surgery. And I get by you, like, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But I strongly prefer guys do rehab. Not just on shoulders, but backs and any other place as well. Because if you do the surgery, that place is never the same again. And I say this because Chad Pennington is a guy I thought would have been a pretty decent NFL quarterback over the course of his whole career and never really amounted to much, in large part because he had the shoulder injuries and he kept coming back from the shoulder injuries. And every time he came back, he looked like he was going to be pretty promising and pretty decent, but also his arm strength went down by a little, and it went down by a little, and it went down by a little, and little by little, just the velocity came off a lot of those balls. And when you look at a guy like Cam, who's already not the most accurate thrower in the world, to me, it seems strange that he would reduce his body weight, making his body less protected against a lot of those hits. And then, you undergo the shoulder surgery. And I don't know with Cam if it was one of those surgeries where he had an option for rehab. But if he had an option for rehab, I would have said take the rehab. But he underwent the shoulder surgery. And so, yeah, the velocity on some of those passes for Cam, it's going to go down. And Cam is a strong passer. Like, he puts a lot of velocity under it. He's got a strong arm. He always has. I don't know how much this affects that, but I can't imagine it doesn't affect it a ton. I can't imagine. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So we're going to shift from the NFC South to the AFC South, where the Titans reside, and another quarterback with shoulder problems, and that'll be Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck has begun throwing in training camp, which doesn't really mean anything. He's going to be passing to receivers. And it was announced today that he is going to begin his NFL season on the physically unable to perform list. And at what point do we start to walk back the greatness of Andrew Luck? Right? As a guy who has been essentially beaten up and injured over the last couple of seasons that he has played, he hasn't looked good, in large part because of the damage and injuries that he's taken, that the offensive line over there is not great, and they're working on fixing it. But, you had a couple of years where Ryan Grigson would just not do anything about it. What on earth do you do? And a situation where Andrew Luck looks like he's falling apart. It looks like he's falling apart, and it doesn't look like the Indianapolis Colts have necessarily the highest sense of urgency trying to work on the guy. It doesn't look like his sense of urgency is very high. Or not his sense of urgency, the team's sense of urgency in dealing with his shoulder is very high. They seem very blasé and laissez-faire about dealing with this guy's injury, the most important part of his body, and the thing that helps you to win the most at the most important position in sports. I don't understand. Like, the Colts seem to be dragging their feet on all of this, and it's like, why? He's the franchise. He is absolutely the franchise. And understand that I'm watching this thing develop, and I'm watching the Titans blossom and grow into something that is fascinating and interesting. They play exotic Smash Mouth, and I don't understand the existence of the Titans. They're weird, but are the Titans the best team in the division right now? Right? You're going to have to take it from the Texans, who might have found their quarterback in Deshaun Watson and might at least have a competent quarterback and competent starter in Tom Savage. So you're going to have to take it away from the Texans, and also they're going to have Watt and Clowney together to start the season for the first time in what feels like ever. So you're going to have to take it back from the Texans, but could the Titans actually be the best team in this division? Because I think they are. And last year I wouldn't have said that, right? Like, last year I was like, okay, they've got a chance to win the division. I think the Titans win the division outright this year, right? I don't think Deshaun Watson's ready. I don't think the Texans ought to start him. I think that Tom Savage is an okay quarterback, but he's just okay. And speaking of people who have had surgery where maybe they could have just come with the rehab route, J.J. Watt had the back surgery, and he only played 4 games last year. I want to see the quality of J.J. Watt's play and the quantity of games that he's actually going to be able to play coming off of recovering from that bad back. I want to see it first before I give J.J. Watt a clean bill of health and to say I'm scared of J.J. Watt once again. So I think that the Titans legitimately could be the best team in the AFC South, in large part because the Colts are silly and they're mismanaging Andrew Luck, and they have a very, very strong possibility of ruining that guy's career, right? And I don't want to see Andrew Luck in a 30 for 30, 25 years from now, as a what could have been story, the way that that guy started his career. I really don't. I like him a lot. I think he's a good quarterback, right? And he's got one of those abilities to be one of the all-time greats. But if you mismanage your quarterback's shoulder injury, I don't know what you expect to happen. I don't know what the Colts expect to happen. And there's not really a sense of urgency with it. There's not really a sense of urgency. And that seems very bizarre to me. So Andrew Luck starting the season on the physically unable to perform list, which does open the door even more for the Titans to run the AFC South. And that ought to tell you how things change in sports. Like you think something's going to last forever. It does not last forever. Nothing in sports lasts forever. We even act like the Golden State Warriors are going to last forever, and we really don't know. We don't know that they're going to last. But the way Andrew Luck started his career, it was like, man, this guy's going to terrorize the NFL for the next 15 years. And depending on what happens with his shoulder, he may not. He might not, right? I don't know. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. One last bit of NFL news. Not that anybody particularly cares, but Robert Griffin III got signed. Or not signed, but he's getting a tryout with the San Diego Chargers. And to me, this speaks to the Colin Kaepernick thing. Every quarterback that gets a tryout or gets signed before Kaepernick is speaking to the Kaepernick thing, because plenty of worse quarterbacks have been given a tryout or signed. Now, with Kaepernick, I think what Kaepernick is looking for that's holding him back is a starting job, and he ain't going to get one. He didn't play like a starter. He doesn't deserve to be a starter. But if you're telling me that there's not enough room on your bench for Colin Kaepernick to come off of your bench, you are insane. You are absolutely insane. And here's the thing. People saying that, well, and they're going to run out the excuse of he's a specific kind of quarterback, and coaches aren't going to change up their system for him. So what do you explain with the Chargers and Robert Griffin? Because Robert Griffin is the same kind of quarterback that Colin Kaepernick is, right? A guy with a strong arm and mobility, right? That's very prone to running. You could use him for a lot of read option stuff. You're telling me that nobody wants to do that and change up their system to that. But then here's Robert Griffin getting a tryout before Kaepernick. Right? Now, part of it is, I think that he is a little bit blackballed from all of the protesting that he did. But I also think that Robert Griffin is willing to just take a job. Right? Kaepernick might still be looking for a starting job or a job where he can compete to be a starter. Where Robert Griffin is just willing to take a job. And sometimes it's just got to be that way, right? Like I've gone through stretches in my life where it's like, yeah, I want to work in media. That's what I went to college to do. I went to college to work in radio. But there was a stretch of time, especially before I worked here, where I had to work at retail stores because I needed a job. And I did not get to be choosy and specific about the kind of job that I took. But I think that's part of Kaepernick's problem, a very, very big part. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I'll let you know if we've got any more developments in the LeBron Kyrie. Actually, we do. Next, Clutch with Keon Rose.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
This is Thomas DeMoss with Keller Williams Realty. I am a realtor in Chattanooga. We list and sell homes, work with buyers, work with home sellers. I have been involved in real estate for over 10 years. My background is as a real estate investor. That is what I bring to the table, is that real estate investor mindset. My job is to help you sell your house for the most money, employing the best marketing strategy and walking you through what can be a rather stressful process. So we are encouraging people who are on the fence or even thought about selling their house to give us a call. There's no obligation. We're just here to kind of have a conversation and let people know what the process is like, what the market is like, what values they can expect to receive. We work with buyers as well. I also have a buyer's agent that works exclusively with my buyers because we want to give our clients as much attention as we can. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Our website is northriverpropertygroup.com. That's northriverpropertygroup.com. We'd love for you guys to call us.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
My name is Trevor Atchley. I'm an attorney here with the law firm McCoon, Williams, Atchley, and Stanley. We have a show on Nooga Radio called Legal Bites, where we discuss legal topics of interest to our listeners: estate planning, business formation, and business transactions. Legal Bites, 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
Hi, this is Nadia behind the green door. You've had ice cream and you've had shaved ice, but have you had snow cream? It is amazing. It's light, airy, fruity snowflakes melting on your tongue. You need to come and see us. Highway 58, green door next to Hardee's.
Does your business have enough clients? Are you confused about how to stand out in today's saturated social media market? Do you feel lost trying to navigate the maze of marketing channels which are necessary in today's marketplace? Are you fed up with spending your time and money on employees who don't perform and marketing strategies that don't produce? Then you need Cindy's Choice. Cindy will solve your marketing problems with their innovative shared marketing management concept that will allow your business to have the benefits of a full-time employee that is actually out building relationships in the community on behalf of your brand. Cindy's low monthly rate includes advertising, employee management, public relations, and creative marketing strategies that produce. Cindy can bring this all to you at a rate lower than most advertising campaigns and for much less than the cost of hiring a marketing employee. Cindy's Choice is your trusted source, and Cindy will manage it all for you.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I focus on the prospect so you can focus on the project. Call me at 423-661-4445. That's 423-661-4445. So you can become Cindy's Choice.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots. They touched Yankee soil. Lay down your arms and step forward, Yankee. What's the hassle, Schmassel? My orders from General Lee is to hold the Macy-Dixie line, and no Yankees are crossing it.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
WVLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga,
WSDT Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
With a presidential tweet, transgender people will no longer be allowed to serve in the U.S. military. Today, a Senate health care repeal vote.
The amendment is not agreed to.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. After President Trump tweeted this morning that transgendered military personnel will no longer serve, the topic was front and center at the afternoon White House briefing.
This was a military decision,
but it's one that affects thousands in uniform. White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
John McCain, who chairs the Senate Armed Services Committee, calls this yet another example of why major policy announcements should not be made via Twitter. He urges an ongoing Pentagon review of the issue to continue, noting many transgender people are serving honorably today.
Sarah McBrides with the Human Rights Campaign says over the past year, when transgender personnel were allowed to serve openly, many have stepped up.
They're already serving, people who are serving this country in the Air Force, in the Marines, and in the Army, who are putting their lives on the line every day to protect me, you, Donald Trump, and every person in this country.
Former Navy SEAL Christian Beck served in Iraq and in Afghanistan and came out after leaving the military in 2011.
Start talking about it's illegal, it's against this, it's against that for transgender people. What's next? So my eye color is incorrect? So we're going to go back to the 1950s when it was a segregated military?
A study commissioned by former Defense Secretary Ash Carter looked at the issue of transgenders in the military. Here's correspondent Cammie McCormick.
There are less than 6,000 transgender service members. That's out of a total force of 1.3 million. The RAND study also found only a small portion would likely seek gender transition treatments, and additional health care costs would amount to only about a 0.13 increase. The Washington Post reports the military spends 5 times more than that on Viagra.
Retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland, a CBS News military consultant, says there are many questions regarding transgender individuals who are serving now.
Will they be allowed to serve until their current enlistments or contracts have been completed? Will they be immediately separated from the military? If so, under what particular legal terms? Will they be granted honorable discharges or less than honorable discharges?
Now to CBS's senior legal analyst, Andrew Cohen.
The president and the Pentagon have broad authority to determine who may and may not serve in the military. That's a pretty basic concept in the Constitution and really everywhere else. But that authority still has to comply with other legal principles. Trump, for example, couldn't issue a lawful order that says no black people or no Muslims could serve any longer.
He says in the federal courts, this could be a close call. The president does have the authority to determine who's qualified to serve.
On the other hand, a president may not discriminate based on race, religion, and in many cases, sexual orientation.
On Wall Street, all 3 major indices had record finishes today. That's next. Now this.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year mortgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Record closing for the Dow, 21,711 after gaining 97. NASDAQ up 10 to its all-time high, 64.22. S&P gained a fraction but set its record, 24.77. The Fed did not hike short-term interest rates today. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Maybe if the economy starts to really get into a higher gear and grow more quickly, then I would expect that the Fed would step in and raise rates maybe in September, maybe again in December. We'd have to see.
Repealing Obamacare, taking 2 years to find a replacement. Senate vote on that. Steve Dorsey.
The yeas are 45, the nays are 55. The amendment is not agreed to.
The measure that failed was similar to one that did pass in 2015, repealing the most unpopular parts of the Affordable Care Act, which President Obama vetoed. Democrats argued it would have left millions without insurance. Republicans must now try
in-depth
other
traffic,
approaches
news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240. Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now,
Chattanooga cops and the FBI have just released photos of a man they say robbed a bank at North Point Boulevard Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. It was a Bank of America. The photos apparently show the man brandishing a handgun. He's a black male. The police are asking the public for help identifying him. 2 shootings in Chattanooga overnight. The first happening at 9 o'clock on Brainerd Road. A victim was shot. The second, gunshots rang out at 34th Street at 6:30 in the evening. Neither victims were killed, and in both cases, the gunman is still on the loose. Just after 9 o'clock at night, a driver lost control of his car and smashed into a tree on Birchwood Pike. Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies said the driver was dead by the time they got there. An investigation is underway to determine the circumstances of the crash. If you're in Saudi Daisy, your property taxes may go up by just under 10 cents. Saudi Daisy officials considering a property tax increase of just under 10 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies, warm and muggy weather out there through your nighttime. Overnight lows 72 to 74. For Wednesday, more heat, haze, and humidity. Highs 92 to 94. An isolated afternoon shower storm possible Thursday. More likely Friday. Highs dropping into the 80s. This forecast is brought to you by Hamilton Medical Center, featuring their neurosurgery and spine center open in Calhoun, Georgia. Stop putting up with back pain. For an appointment, 706-529-9041. And I'm Swarm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Now, me being a radio guy, I'm really not good with vehicles. Never changed my own oil, can barely change a tire. And sometimes when I hear a clanking, I just turn the radio up louder. Not a real good idea. So I need to be able to trust someone when they look at my vehicle. Well, I found the guys. Locally owned and operated here in Chattanooga. It's Precision Tune Auto Care. They're your neighbors. There's 3 locations in Chattanooga. And since they're Nooga Radio's official oil change center, they're going to extend the great deal they give to us to you. Just $20 for a standard oil change. Can you imagine that? $20 for a standard oil change. You're in and out in no time. $20 for a standard oil change at Precision Tune Auto Care. And they treat all of their customers like family. With show and tell, they'll show you what's wrong, point out the problems, and tell you exactly what it will take to get fixed. They really do have pride in what they do at Precision Tune Auto Care. Precision Tune Auto Care with 3 locations. 2125 Gun Barrel Road, Chattanooga, 4221 Hickson Pike, and Highway 58 next to Dunkin' Donuts. Call 602-5955. That's 602-5955. Precision Tune Auto Care.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose is the show. Nooga Radio is the station, and NoogaRadio.com is their website. And I'm going to get into the big basketball news in a second. I will also recap the happiest folks in the SEC because one of them can no longer be Hugh Freeze. And this just occurred to me. I did the happiness show going into the season. And you know what? Hugh Freeze was on the list. Hugh Freeze was playing a no-pressure season. Okay? There's no way things could have been better for Hugh Freeze. Right? And now I have to redo the list. And because this is radio, I get the opportunity to redo the list. I got the SEC media guide in the mail. Hugh Freeze still very much in the media guide. Didn't get a chance to reprint that one there before Mr. Freeze went up and got himself resigned. Okay. And I like to say firing because when they let you resign or else they were going to fire you, you really did get fired. Like everybody in the building knows what the score is on that one. You really did get fired. But up for happiest people in the SEC, I did think about adding Matt Luke, the interim head coach at Ole Miss, to the list because what have you got if you're Matt Luke? You've got an opportunity to become a head coach. You get to be a head coach for a little while, at least audition for somebody. You get none of the responsibility of any of this mess. You get a taste of being a head coach. I mean, that's something to like, you know, and I don't think that Ole Miss is going to take Matt Luke because I think that Ole Miss likes winning too much. And I don't know that Matt Luke helps you win long term, if not anything, because the man's got a particularly boring personality, and boring doesn't really, really work for you very well when you're a recruiter. You've got to have some kind of wow factor, or at least something to sell or sling when it comes to recruiting. But I will say that if you're Matt Luke, this does put you in a pretty nice spot, right? You have an opportunity to audition in the world of college football. And we know how things work in the SEC. The SEC can be very insular. People tend to hire people off of other people's staffs. They hire guys that coached in one place and move to another. And there's a long, long list of just the way that people bounce around in the SEC, that if Matt Luke does a really good job with this, I'm not saying that the next coaching opening could be his, but that the next coaching opening you might have to consider could be his, right? Like if he does a really good job with this, if Ole Miss wins more games than expected, maybe not enough to where Ole Miss considers keeping him, or maybe not in a fashion that Ole Miss considers keeping him, but they win more games than people expect and they look a whole lot better than people expect, like Matt Luke might find himself on another staff, and it might be another staff in the SEC. Because when you think about it, people bounce around inside the SEC all the time. Kirby Smart from Alabama to Georgia. You had Will Muschamp, the head coach of Florida, become the head coach of South Carolina one season afterwards. Lane Kiffin was at Tennessee, comes back. He gets to be the offensive coordinator for Alabama for a little while before he departed from here. I mean, Steve Spurrier also made the journey from Florida to South Carolina. It was a different journey, but it was a journey. I'm just saying, it seems really, really insular in the SEC. The people tend to stay inside of this conference generally. And Matt Luke puts on a good showing. Who's to say that we don't see Matt Luke, the head coach of some football program, sometime, somewhere else in this conference? Who's not to say that? So if you're Matt Luke, are you one of the happiest people in the SEC? You know what? I'm going to add Matt Luke to the list. I think I just talked myself into adding Matt Luke to the list. I don't think he is the happiest person, because the happiest person by nature has to be Jim McElwain. The nature of the job being that here's how the nature of being the happiest person in the SEC is calculated. First, coach in the East, because that means that you play in the weaker of the two divisions. So that's step one. Step two, have a very tenable team in the East. Oh, look, checkbox for Mr. McElwain again. Step 3, don't be Nick Saban. Nick Saban by nature cannot be the happiest person in the SEC because he is not a happy person. He's a very grumpy person, in fact. Can't be Nick Saban. So those are the 3 rules to being the happiest person in the SEC. So we've got all that going on, right? I just think it's really, really odd. I just think it's one of those really strange things that happens, which is the way that people should stay inside the SEC. That's odd to me. But yeah, in terms of happiness, Jim McElwain, to me, he's the guy. I want to say Kirby Smart, but I have to see that team play. Nick Chubb should probably be on the list now that he can squat 600 pounds, literally squat 600 pounds. Now that he's got what must pass for the 2 most powerful legs in any backfield in college football, I would argue that Nick Chubb ought to be on the list as well of the happiest men in the SEC. I once upon a time had Felipe Franks, but he got his job taken away from him by Malik Zaire. Not official yet, but I don't see how you don't go with Zaire. He's a graduate transfer and a guy that has shown on some pretty big stages that he's a really great football player. So I can't imagine that you don't just roll out Zaire and see how he works for Florida. I really don't. But it's not a guarantee, I suppose. Felipe Franks could beat him. I just don't see how. You really going to start a freshman quarterback over a college graduate transfer who's been proven? I don't see it. I don't see it. Dan Mullen is also on the list, right? He's going to rule Mississippi. And that's just what it is. And if you want, which I imagine Dan Mullen wants to do, because he has had opportunities to leave Mississippi State and has not done so, which means that I imagine that Dan Mullen wants to rule Mississippi. And if that's something that means a lot to him, well, good. I can't imagine what ruling Mississippi must mean. I don't know what that means. I've driven through Mississippi. I didn't die. There's a nice buffet. There's a nice buffet at the very first exit in Mississippi when you're coming from west to east on I-20. It's a very nice buffet there. It's tasty. So there's that. Otherwise, I don't see what do you want to rule about Mississippi. I don't see it. I don't follow. Maybe I'm just insulting a lot of people from Mississippi, but I honestly, it's not a great place. It's not a great place. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So I want to jump to this NBA stuff a little bit because first off, the Cleveland Cavaliers have begun officially shopping Kyrie Irving, which I think is smart because if a guy doesn't want to come back, you've got to think about locker room dynamics, right? Like if a guy does not want to come back, then you have to trade him before training camp, right? Like in order to avoid how awkward that is going to inevitably be, you have to trade that guy and get him about your building. That's one. And two, and I feel like the Pacers learned this lesson with Paul George. We heard the rumblings and rumors that Paul George wanted to go to LA to be a Laker. And the Pacers were like, nah, we're not going to deal with that. And then they traded Paul George, not when he had 2 years on his contract, but when he had 1 year on his contract. And when you trade a guy and he has 1 year on his contract, the contract is not as valuable to other teams because no one wants to have a 1 year rental. If you've got a guy for 2 years, you might have a chance to cobble something around him, build something around him, and see if you can start something with that guy and convince him to stick with the franchise. You have a guy for 1 year, there's no reason to believe that that guy wants to come back if that team's not good, if he simply does not want to. And if you're a guy like Paul George and you've had designs on playing in LA for a long time, there's certainly nothing about being a 1 year rental in Oklahoma City that's going to make you want to stay in Oklahoma City. There's nothing in Oklahoma City. Nothing at all. Nothing. Okay? If you want to, if Los Angeles is where you want to be, Oklahoma City doesn't have anything for you. I feel like Chattanooga is bigger than Oklahoma City. I could be wrong about that. I'm just telling you what it feels like. I feel like Chattanooga is bigger than Oklahoma City. what are you going to do in Oklahoma City, right? So the 1-year rental thing is not really something that teams want to try and work through. So the 2-year guy, the guy with 2 years left on the deal, it has more value. Cleveland can get more for Kyrie now than they would have gotten for him previously. They cannot get very much from anybody if they wait a year, right? And essentially, if you got to choose between Kyrie and LeBron. LeBron's got the no trade clause, so you've got to move Kyrie. So they've begun to officially shop Kyrie around, and I don't know exactly what they can get back for him, but I imagine that they could get a nice little haul for him. I think so, right? Maybe possibly get some expiring contracts or some level of backup guard for him. But one thing that Cleveland did do that helped them out is add Derrick Rose, right? $2 million for Derrick Rose. It's a very low price for a guy who can still score, right? Derrick Rose can't play at the MVP level that he played at. And I have finally come around. LeBron James should have won the MVP that year, yada, yada, yada. I was on the Derrick Rose bandwagon, and I felt very vindicated when he did actually win. But like, if you go back and look at the stats and go back and look at the season, but if you want to talk about just the most exciting player to watch that season, it was Derrick Rose. It was Derrick Rose. And I think he wowed us with all of that and blinded us with all of that, and we gave him the MVP, which I have no problems with. Because if they weren't going to give it to LeBron, he is the next most qualified guy to get it, and they're not going to give it to LeBron every year. They didn't give it to Jordan every year that they could have given it to him, so there's no way they're going to give it to LeBron every year that they could give it to him. He is a very interesting guy because he's a guy that I think 2010 won the MVP, 2011 destroys his knee. He's never the same since, and because he is Derrick Rose and because he is particularly tone deaf to everything in the room, when he talks, he says things that are just like, what are you doing? Like, I honestly don't understand what the guy's point is. Where he had the thing where he said he wasn't going to play very long in his career or play very hard or rush himself back from injuries and things like that so that he could play longer. And then he said he was going to go out and get a max contract, and he tried to get a max contract from the Knicks, and that obviously didn't work out. And so, like, there's a whole lot of stuff where it's just Derrick Rose says words and you kind of just don't listen to it because you're just like, the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And nor does he know when to stop talking. I think that's Derrick Rose's problem. Derrick Rose is the guy that doesn't know when to stop talking, right? There's a tactic that police use. I don't know if they still use it, but there was a tactic, at least I knew that police used, where a lot of times if you have a guy who's a suspect and you've got him in the box and you're interrogating him, and he's a person that is volunteering information, a lot of times you just sit there in silence and stare at the guy. Just sit there in silence. And because you're the police and because he's nervous and because he's scared, he just starts volunteering information because he feels like he's supposed to say something. That's Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose just volunteers information because he feels like he's supposed to say something. When in fact, you don't have to say anything. Derrick Rose does not have to say words. He really doesn't. Right? And then of course Derrick Rose had that thing last January with the Knicks where he just vanished for a few days. And he was supposed to come in and, play basketball games, as he is a basketball player. Didn't tell anybody where he was going, didn't tell anybody what happened, and then just showed up and said, hey, I had a family issue to deal with. And nobody in New York, nobody with the Knicks checked him on it. That is the weirdest thing to me. You don't just vanish away and don't tell anybody where you're going, especially your employer. You have a job. Your job is play basketball. You got to tell them if you can't make it to the game, if you've got a family issue. I mean, they excuse people all the time. If you have a serious family issue, tell them where you're going. He didn't do that, and he never got checked on it. That, to me, is bizarre. But the Cavs win here, though. The Cavs get Derrick Rose, averaged 18 points a game, and I can't imagine that Derrick Rose still can't score. I saw some games with the Knicks with him. I didn't sit down and watch too much of the Knicks. They're awful. But I watched some games, and he was able to get to the basket. Showed at least flashes of that ability to get to the basket just sort of whenever he wanted to, and just because his name is Derrick Rose. Right? He seemed that. And I saw a little bit of it. Now, here's where the story gets weird, the Derrick Rose entering the Cleveland situation, because Kyrie is on his way out. And so Derrick Rose and LeBron James have become buddy-buddy. They've been talking about the future of Cleveland and what they plan on doing there. Derrick Rose has now been working out with LeBron James. LeBron James invited him to Las Vegas to work out where LeBron's been having his training camp. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. Kyrie's not invited. And it leads me to believe this about LeBron James, whom I like and whom I don't bash very often because he's LeBron James. And because, LeBron James lives this life that I think he is more special than other players. He gets preferential treatment that other players don't get. But if you don't get extra perks for being the greatest basketball player in the planet, like, what is the point of being the greatest basketball player on the planet? Like, being the greatest basketball player on the planet ought to come with some special perks that other guys don't have because they're not the best. I'm not saying every locker room needs to be treated equally. What I am saying is, when it comes to issues of discipline, I think you got to discipline guys differently, but I don't think everybody gets to act the same, right? It's the thing that Tom Herman's doing when he got to Texas, and Tom Herman's got this thing where they're going to have head-to-head drills in training camp, and the guys that win the head-to-head drills get to eat better meals than the guys that don't win the head-to-head drills. I don't know exactly how that all is going to go over, but there's a certain level of, if you are better, your life is better. And that's just not how sports works. That's just real life. That's real life. Right? I think LeBron James has more than earned the special credentials that he gets. More than earned it. But Kyrie's tired of all of that. My issue with LeBron, though, is where LeBron is like the pettiest dude on earth. Anytime somebody upsets LeBron, LeBron will send out a passive-aggressive tweet or Instagram post, which, oh my gosh, that just hurts me to say. Like, oh, yeah, passive-aggressively getting back at his teammates and stuff and telling them things. And it's weird because it's like the thing that Phil Jackson used to do with the media, where Phil Jackson used to tell all of his players' business to the media, except LeBron does it on social media, and he does it, again, passive-aggressively. He won't name names. He won't say anybody's name necessarily, but we all know who he's talking about. So you're embarrassing the guy, and you're giving yourself plausible deniability for embarrassing the guy. It just seems like a weak sauce move. It seems like a weak sauce move. I don't know how I feel about it. So, looks like we've got a call here. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, David, this is May Beavers. Is this David Tulis?
It is not. This is Keon Rose.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll contact him on his other phone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And this is how you know that our business phone and our on-air phone, they're the same phone. But yeah, with that being said, right, a thing that I find interesting is that LeBron James has got to be the pettiest person on earth. You're not invited to this. I remember the Halloween party that he threw. He took all of these shots at the Warriors in his Halloween party, which is weird, if not because, celebrate you. You really got to take shots at people over that stuff? Like, LeBron James cannot let stuff go. He absolutely cannot let stuff go. And I don't know if it's something that is a locker room problem, but it's something that's bothered Kyrie, right? And to be clear, Cleveland, Cleveland doesn't win that title without Kyrie, right? 2 years ago, they don't win it without Kyrie. And I can say what you want about Kyrie, because I don't think you can build a team around Kyrie. I don't think Kyrie is one of the best point guards in the league, because to me, the best point guards in the league should be distributors of the basketball. I've always appreciated the Chris Paul, John Wall type of guard, guys that are really good at passing. And even Steph Curry, who gets a lot of credit for scoring, is a pretty decent passer also. Tony Parker, when in his prime, guys that are really good at distributing the basketball, which Kyrie cannot do. And then I think at the point guard position, it's very difficult to build around a guy that cannot do that. But Kyrie is a straight up scoring assassin. Scores big shots in big moments, and it seems like he's better the more the game is on the line. And it's scary. He's scary good at that. And I don't know that Derrick Rose can replace that Kyrie had. And I think that LeBron James's passive aggressiveness might have just taken an advantage away from the team that he's on. And he had a team that's chasing the Warriors, by the way, and cannot afford to have downgrades in parts. Watch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Chattanooga cops and the FBI have just released photos of a man they say robbed a bank at North Point Boulevard Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. It was a Bank of America. The photos apparently show the man brandishing a handgun. He's a black male. The police are asking the public for help identifying him. 2 shootings in Chattanooga overnight. The first happening at 9 o'clock on Brainerd Road. A victim was shot. The second, gunshots rang out at 34th Street at 6:30 in the evening. Neither victims were killed, and in both cases, the gunman is still on the loose. Just after 9 o'clock at night, a driver lost control of his car and smashed into a tree on Birchwood Pike. Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies said the driver was dead by the time they got there. An investigation is underway to determine the circumstances of the crash. If you're in Saudi Daisy, your property taxes may go up by just under 10 cents. Saudi Daisy officials considering a property tax increase of just under 10 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies, warm and muggy weather out there through your nighttime. Overnight lows 72 to 74. For Wednesday, more heat, haze, and humidity. Highs 92 to 94. An isolated afternoon shower storm possible Thursday. More likely Friday. Highs dropping into the 80s. This forecast is brought to you by Hamilton Medical Center, featuring their neurosurgery and spine center open in Calhoun, Georgia. Stop putting up with back pain. For an appointment, 706-529-9041. And I'm Swarm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Hi, I'm David Crockett, and I'm here with David Tulis, and we're having a little discussion over who's the number one Nooga centrist. If you want to keep up with free market ideas, then read Nooganomics.com. David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Lunch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So I have some corrections to make about yesterday's show, because I was talking about the whole Lucky Whitehead situation with the Dallas Cowboys. My opinion on the issue, which is that the Dallas Cowboys have a problem in which they are trying to prove that they have discipline in their locker room by taking out their discipline on a player that is obviously not going to make their roster in Lucky Whitehead, versus a player in Ezekiel Elliott, who is a guy who is a star. To me, there's a double standard in that locker room that cannot possibly be good. I stand by that opinion, but the correction that I will make is that not that Lucky Whitehead was misidentified in this shoplifting crime, but rather that the guy that was arrested for shoplifting was able to pretend to be Lucky Whitehead so convincingly that the police put out an arrest warrant for Lucky Whitehead. Right? That the guy got caught shoplifting and said that he was in fact Lucky Whitehead. Lucky is a nickname, by the way. Lucky's real name is Rodney Whitehead. And the guy was able to say, I am Rodney Whitehead, right? So he was able to say the guy's name. He was able to produce the birthday of Lucky Whitehead, and then, somehow produce the social security number. Now, to me, I don't think he was able to produce the social security number. That seems like a little bit of a stretch there. But I will say this, though. It's not hard to get a person's name and phone number or phone and name and birthday. That's a Google search. That is a Google search. If you could pull off a football player that people don't know very well, and football players are already have the problem of exposure, where we don't know what the hell it is that most of these guys look like, even the guys that we perceive to be really, 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 really good. And we still don't know what they look like without their helmets on. Especially the more casual fans would pass a lot of guys on the streets and not know. Right? I have a friend who plays music in Nashville, and he's bumped into a few Titans players, and the guys are able to go to the bars. People can tell, yeah, you look like you play football, but, you know, DeMarco Murray can go into a bar, and most people don't know what it is that DeMarco Murray looks like. I bet you right now, Mr. Titans fan, don't know what it is that DeMarco Murray looks like. I bet you have no idea. I do, but you don't. I bet you don't, because you don't need to. You don't need to know what he looks like to enjoy it. Like, you don't need to know what DeMarco Murray looks like to watch DeMarco Murray on TV. Right? Like, maybe some of you know what Derrick Henry looks like because he played at Alabama. But most people pretty much, when they root for football, this is what they know. They know what the top receiver looks like. If their top receiver is a dynamic guy, they know what their quarterback looks like. And that's about all they know in the looks department of their football team. So, yeah, I could convince you that he is Lucky Whitehead, convince the police, like, yeah, no, I don't have any identification on me, but my name is Rodney Whitehead, and here is my birthday. The thing is that the Dallas Cowboys did not particularly look into the matter. And I get that the defense that Lucky Whitehead had, which was like, I did not shoplift. I wasn't there. But I don't know. When a guy tells you he wasn't in the same state, that doesn't sound like the same regular excuse of, hey, dude, it wasn't me. He said I wasn't in the same state. Now, maybe he's stupid enough to tell that kind of a lie, but I doubt it. I don't think so. I don't think he's that dumb. So, like, maybe look into it a little bit harder before you give the guy's job away. You just take his job away from him. I find that you should probably look into that a little bit more. That's just my own personal opinion. But yeah, that's the correction that I thought needed to be made on that story. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. The guy just straight up said, I'm Lucky Whitehead. Now, I think how they were probably able to get the social security number, though I don't know, is when you get a ticket or you are arrested for something, they have to get all that information from you the first time. And then, you know, if you give your name and birthday, they might be able to just fill in the blanks from the last time you got a ticket. Might just be able to do that. That would be my guess as to how they got the social security number. I don't think that man knew Lucky Whitehead's social security number just straight up off the top of his head, because, you know, I have enough trouble remembering mine, much less finding someone else's and remembering it, right? Like, that's just kind of crazy to me. If he did know Lucky Whitehead's phone number off the top of his head, then the police got to know that might be just a little bit suspicious. Like, who volunteers their social security number? When was the last time you got pulled over by the police ever and just straight up volunteered extra information? Just volunteered more information than you had to. That seems odd to me. That seems incredibly odd. Anywho. Julio Jones. Julio Jones was skiing on a lake outside of Atlanta. And by the way, this is a funny story. It has nothing to do with injuries. I said Julio Jones was skiing, and I felt every Falcons fan in the sound of my voice just clench a little bit. Like, no, you don't have to. It's got nothing to do with he's fine. He's fine. But his earring isn't fine, right? He was water skiing with a diamond earring, and it fell out. And my question is, as a result of this, how far would you go for that earring? First off, why were you water skiing with the earring in the first place? But how far would you go for that earring? Because you shouldn't be water skiing with jewelry in your ears anyway. It just seems like that's a way to lose it, right? Like, you wouldn't have your phone with you on a roller coaster like that. Why? Because there's a really easy way to lose your phone on a roller coaster, man. Like, anything that you value, when you start moving at high speeds, you're putting that off to the side. Like, was it really worth it looking good to water ski? And can't you believe, like, okay, maybe I can look fine without the earrings today? Now, I'm not an earring guy, so like I don't know how attached people get to their earrings. But my goodness, he went water skiing with the earrings, and the earrings are $100,000. Right? And Julio Jones is like, no. We getting my earrings back, and we're getting my earrings back right now. Right? Not later, right now. And he has hired a diving team to go get the earrings. Now, to me, there is such a thing as sunk cost. Right? It's what they teach you in business. Sunk cost. What you do if you have a business and your business is starting to go under, maybe your business is starting to fail, what you have to do is say, this is the amount of money that I'm willing to put in to try and revive my business, save my business. And then if I can't do that, I'm going to let go and walk away, right? Don't put more money into trying to save a dying business that's going to die anyway. If you have the feeling like this thing's not going to make it, man, patience dead on the table. Don't sink more money into it to try and save it. Now, here's my thing. You paid $100,000 if you're Julio Jones for these earrings. You see where I'm going with this? You paid $100,000 for these earrings. At what point are you now creating extra cost for the earrings? Right now, it's $100,000, right? If you could buy several cars with one of them earrings that Julio got. So Julio's looking at this like, no, you're going to find my earrings now. And I can afford for you to find my earrings. I'm trying to figure out how much does it cost to hire a diving team? How much does it cost to hire a diving team to look into an entire lake and say, here are my earrings? Do you have to shut down the lake for the diving team to look? I don't know. All I'm saying is that all of these additional costs, is it more expensive than just going, you know what, let me get some cheaper earrings, right? That are still nice. Maybe the new earrings are $20,000 instead of $100,000, and you just have to roll with the $20,000 earrings until you get paid enough. And just let the ones that fell into the lake go. You're just going to have to let it go. But Julio Jones is like, no. You guys are going to get my earrings, and you're going to get my earrings right now. We do not wait. Chop, chop. I don't really blame him because I don't know how much that's worth to people. I'm just saying. And I'm not an earring guy. I'm not, I'm not opposed to people having earrings, but I'm not an earring guy. I will never have earrings in my ears or any particular kind of piercing, really. It's just not me. It's just not me. So I have a level of empathy that I cannot extend to Julio Jones simply because I do not understand the level of desperation that he must have felt when he realized his $100,000 earrings were missing. But I can't imagine, because I don't have anything nearing $100,000. The most expensive thing that I own is my car, right? And if one day I couldn't find my car and I could pay a group of people to find my car, then I suppose I would do that. But I don't know why I pay a group of people to find my car. That's the police. I already do. It's called my taxes, and the people are called the police. But my car doesn't cost anywhere near $100,000, so I don't know. I can't really empathize with the guy. Not gonna lie to you. Cannot really empathize. So we went on a little bit yesterday because people were upset, literally upset, that Michael Phelps did not race an actual shark. Okay. And I don't know. I feel like there are more suckers in America than I would have thought. I think there are more suckers in America than I would have thought. Because I would never have suspected that Michael Phelps was going to race against an actual shark. Like in my mind, I was like, well, maybe They've got some kind of shark pen, some kind of shark enclosure. And then when the shark starts to swim one way, they can get Michael Phelps to swim alongside it. But how do you get the shark to stay on task? How do you get the shark to go from one end to the other? Because sharks don't obey people. Sharks don't care about anything but biting stuff and eating stuff. Why? Why? Sharks don't obey people. How did you think that this was going to work? There was going to be a trained racing shark? There are more suckers than I thought. So people have been getting after Michael Phelps because, in fairness, Discovery Channel did market it like Michael Phelps was going to race a shark. I just never imagined in my life it was going to be a real shark. I feel like I was ahead of that one. I didn't even talk about it on the show because I didn't think it was relevant, because I didn't think he was going to race a real shark. People are mad that Michael Phelps didn't race a real shark. And so here he comes. Michael Phelps says everybody wants to pick on something or say something or complain about something. So I had fun racing a shark and seeing those animals up close and personal. If somebody actually wants to get in the water and race side by side with the great white, go ahead. You're not going to get the shark to swim in a straight line. And yeah, it would be interesting to see. We'll leave it at that. That's what I'm saying, right? Me and Michael Phelps are on the same page because Michael Phelps was not trying to be eaten by a shark. And here's the real problem. Here's the real problem. This country is filled with a bunch of sickos who were hoping at the possibility that Michael Phelps could possibly be eaten by a shark. That was what you wanted to see. You didn't want to see Michael Phelps race no shark, because how are you going to get it to swim in a straight line? I said this yesterday. How are you going to get the shark to stay on task? It's a shark. Okay? They're animals that we train to do stuff. Really intelligent animals. Animals that don't mind you feeding them. Right? We can train walruses and seals. We train dolphins. We train killer whales. We train horses. We train dogs. We train so many animals. It's kind of crazy. But you know what we don't train? Bleeping sharks, because they're just predators. They don't understand anything else but, oh, it's bleeding. I need to eat that. That's all they know. Now, I agree. Take the Michael Phelps challenge. If you want to be the person to race alongside a shark, how else were they going to do that except a CG shark? If you thought Michael Phelps was going to race against an actual shark, you are a sucker, and I cannot help you. And I will continue to read this. And I quote, "You can believe whatever you want. Everything was either present on air during multiple interviews that I did throughout Shark Week or the beginning of the show. Sorry you feel that way. For me, it was something I always wanted to do. I was honored to be able to do it. Sorry in that you feel that way. I feel very different." Yeah, Michael Phelps was not going to race against a shark. You know why? Because Michael Phelps is not an idiot. This is the reason why. Remember when that guy tightrope walked to get across the Grand Canyon? And people were watching that? Why were you watching that man tightrope walk against the Grand Canyon? Was it because you wanted to be impressed by his level of skill? Is that what it was? You wanted to be impressed by this man's ability to counterbalance the wind and adjust his weight as he walked across a tightrope across the Grand Canyon? Or were you secretly hoping that that man slipped and fell off the tightrope to his death? I think that the possibility that that guy could die is the reason why people watched. That's the only reason why people watch any of this stuff. Remember when Fear Factor was a really big show in the 2000s? Why did people sit down and watch Fear Factor? Because there was a possibility that people could get really sick, really ill, or die. Just straight up die. Now, if it aired on television, you were never going to see it, but people still watched it. Why? Because our country is a bunch of sickos. We like to look at train wrecks. If there's a possibility of a train wreck, we like to look at it. That's what we like. We enjoy it. That is, I don't want to say that's what we live for, but there is something about looking at the possibility that someone could be injured, looking at the risk and going, this is entertainment. Because walking across a tightrope is not entertaining, right? People walk across tightropes all the time. It's a special skill. It's hard to do. I would never diminish it and act like I could do it because I can't. But there's a difference between walking across a tightrope, 20 feet off the ground, and walking across a tightrope 100 feet off the ground, and walking across a tightrope across the Grand Canyon. And when you walk across the Grand Canyon, because all of those come with the risk of injury, all three of those, but one comes with a risk of absolute death. And people were watching because of that possibility. These stunts, when people used to watch, Evel Knievel back in the day. Evel Knievel was doing all those jumps. Like, there's a possibility that he could fail and be seriously injured. That's why he was called a daredevil, and that's the reason why people watched. What? But if you came in and you legitimately thought Michael Phelps is going to race against an actual shark, I think there are some of you that thought Michael Phelps might be eaten by this shark, and that's interesting too. There's a possibility the shark could eat him. And you know what? I hear that Michael Phelps is not that great a guy. Like, he's kind of a mean dude from like some swimming friends that I know that have met him. But I don't think we want Michael Phelps to be eaten by a shark. I mean, I don't. He's one of the greatest Olympians we've ever had. Right? I don't want Michael Phelps to be eaten by a shark. I don't want Usain Bolt to be eaten by a shark. Though I guess the Usain Bolt equivalent would be a cheetah. I don't want him to be eaten by that either. I just don't want it. Don't want it. Don't have it in me to watch a man possibly be consumed by a predator of the sea. Just don't have it in me. And if you thought that was somehow going to work, you are a sucker. Like all the people who believe that somehow Conor McGregor is going to beat Floyd. You're a sucker too. If you pay for that fight, you're a sucker. Like, there's no way to maneuver around it. We got a lot of suckers in America. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Dude was not going to get into the water with no shark. Get out of here. The most insane thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So yeah, the Tennessee Titans, by the way, really quick Tennessee Titans news, because I did mention earlier in the show that Marcus Mariota is going to be coming in at a lighter weight than he was before. Look, I don't mind Mariota coming in at a lighter weight. He stands behind, in my opinion, after the Dallas Cowboys, the second best offensive line in football. It's a tie or it's a race between for second best. It's a race between the Raiders and the Titans as the second best offensive line in football. And Marcus Mariota, I think, is kind of hell-bent on being more of a pocket passer. Marcus Mariota coming in at a lighter weight is not nearly as big a story as Cam Newton coming in at a lighter weight, because Cam Newton's body does take so much abuse over the course of a season. His offensive line is so much more inferior than Mariota's offensive line. And McCaffrey will come in and take a lot of the pressure off of Cam Newton, I think, but we'll see how much pressure comes off. Cam's still going to take some shots, and I don't know. I'd like a heavier Cam Newton to deal with all of that, but we'll see. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I appreciate you for tuning into the show today, however it is that you chose to listen, whether it was on Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, or our Facebook page. If you search Nooga Radio, you should be able to find that as well. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you all in 24 hours.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
This is Thomas DeMoss with Keller Williams Realty. I am a realtor in Chattanooga. We list and sell homes, work with buyers, work with home sellers. I have been involved in real estate for over 10 years. My background is as a real estate investor. That is what I bring to the table, is that real estate investor mindset. My job is to help you sell your house for the most money, employing the best marketing strategy and walking you through what can be a rather stressful process. So we are encouraging people who are on the fence or even thought about selling their house to give us a call. There's no obligation. We're just here to kind of have a conversation, let people know what the process is like, what the market is like, what values they can expect to receive. We work with buyers as well. I also have a buyer's agent that works exclusively with my buyers because we want to give our clients as much attention as we can. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Our website is northriverpropertygroup.com. That's northriverpropertygroup.com. We'd love for you guys to call us.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
My name's Trevor Atchley. I'm an attorney here with the law firm McCoon, Williams, Atchley, and Stanley. We have a show on Nooga Radio called Legal Bites, where we discuss legal topics of interest to our listeners: estate planning, business formation, and business transactions. Legal Bites, 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
Hi, this is Nadia behind the green door. You've had ice cream and you've had shaved ice, but have you had snow cream? It is amazing. It's light, airy, fruity snowflakes melting on your tongue. You need to come and see us. Highway 58, green door next to Hardee's.
Does your business have enough clients? Are you confused about how to stand out in today's saturated social media market? Do you feel lost trying to navigate the maze of marketing channels which are necessary in today's marketplace? Are you fed up with spending your time and money on employees who don't perform and marketing strategies that don't produce? Then you need Cindy's Choice. Cindy will solve your marketing problems with their innovative shared marketing management concept that will allow your business to have the benefits of a full-time employee that is actually out building relationships in the community on behalf of your brand. Cindy's low monthly rate includes advertising, employee management, public relations, and creative marketing strategies that produce. Cindy can bring this all to you at a rate lower than most advertising campaigns and for much less than the cost of hiring a marketing employee. Cindy's Choice is your trusted source, and Cindy will manage it all for you.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I focus on the prospect so you can focus on the project. Call me at 423-661-4445. That's 423-661-4445. So you can become Cindy's Choice.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots. They touched Yankee soil. Lay down your arms and step forward, Yankee.
What's the hassle, schmassel?
My orders from General Lee is to hold the Macy-Dixie line, and no Yankees are crossing it.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDG Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Deborah Rodriguez. It didn't take long for protests to crop up over President Trump's Twitter announcement banning transgender people from the military. In New York's Times Square,
Transgender rights are human rights.
As for the specifics of the ban, CBS's Major Garrett.
The White House could not explain what it meant for the thousands of transgender individuals serving now. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders did not provide a timetable for implementing the policy.
Obviously, it's a very difficult decision. It's not a simple one, but the president feels that it's the best one for the military.
But you can't answer the question of what's going to happen to transgenders who are in the military now. Shouldn't you have been able to answer that basic question with a policy of this magnitude?
Look, I think sometimes you have to make decisions, and once he made a decision, he didn't feel it was necessary to hold that decision.
Trans troops have been able to serve openly since an Obama administration directive last year. A bumpy ride for the latest GOP healthcare plan. A day after the Senate cleared the way for debate, CBS's Steve Dorsey says lawmakers have voted down a proposal to get rid of Obamacare.
It was a long shot with both Democrats and moderate Republicans opposed.
On this vote, the yeas are 45, the nays are 55. The amendment is not agreed to.
It would have repealed the core of the Affordable Care Act in 2 years. This version also included a ban on people using subsidies to buy plans that cover abortions. Now, Republicans must get back to work and consider other alternatives to repeal parts of the Affordable Care Act.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, on his way out, he denies it.
I'm not going anywhere.
How long will you stay for?
As long as the president lets me.
Answering questions from reporters at the State Department, Tillerson characterizes his relationship with Mr. Trump as good. 2 more days until 86-year-old Paul Shanley, former priest in Boston, is scheduled to be released from prison. He served 12 years for raping a boy at a church in the suburb of Newton. John Harris, one of the many people who say Shanley assaulted them.
I just want to remind the public that he has abused all ages, children, adolescents, and young adults, even older, and he has abused women, men, and